friends, welcome back. I'm Elaine and I'm living with autoimmune disease, and today let's talk about the F word. No, not that F word, the autoimmune disease F word, flare or fracture. Now, when people ask me what RA pain feels like, and for those that don't know what RA stands for, it's rheumatoid arthritis, which is an autoimmune disease that I am diagnosed with and many other people are diagnosed with as well. I explain that pain as a broken bone, and especially during a flare, I explain that it feels like your bone is broken or your joint is broken. I get a lot of pain in my clavicle area, my shoulders, like my elbows, my hands, my ankles, and I always explain it as it feels like I broke my shoulder, I broke my clavicle, I broke my elbow. Now, full confession, I have never had a broken bone, well, until recently. And so I was just assuming that would be what a broken bone would feel like. And I thought that was the best way to describe it to someone who doesn't have RA pain or autoimmune disease flare pain. It's not just RA that feels this way. There's a lot of other autoimmune diseases that have joint pain. I also am diagnosed with scleroderma, and I know that the joint pain in scleroderma feels very much the same way when it's in a flare. What do you all describe a flare joint pain feeling to people that don't have autoimmune disease? Leave me a comment down below. Let me know how you describe it. I'm anxious to hear how others describe it. I am talking about just the joint pain in autoimmune disease. I know we suffer with a lot of other things, with fatigue and muscle pain and mouth sores, and I mean, there's a whole plethora of things, right? But I'm just talking about the joint pain of our disease. So, full confession, I said I didn't have a broken bone until recently, a fracture. So, I have been suffering with a swollen foot, a lot of joint pain, not being able to walk, and it was affecting my gait. It affects my gait, which means that my hip has been hurting, my knee has been hurting, my ankle has been hurting, and I have had icy hot patches on it. I've done all the things that I know to do. Ice it, elevate it, but it hurts. Knowing that I had this pain and this swelling, it was familiar to me. I can't tell you what I did. It just started hurting, which is very typical for an RA flare to me or my autoimmune disease. I just start hurting. I wake up with it. It starts to happen during the day, and I can't tell you what I've done. I can't tell you that I've injured it. So to me, in my head, that signifies, oh, it's my disease. It's inflammation. It's a flare. And because it was swollen on the top of my foot, the swelling seemed RA, right? Below the joints of my toes, hard to walk on, kind of affecting my ankle. So it kind of made sense that it was RA to me. And I thought, okay, this flare is gonna last like a week. I have some emergency stuff here that I take for autoimmune disease pain management. There's some things over the counter that I take. I was trying to wrap it with compression, and I realized after a week it wasn't going down, and it was really hard to walk on. So I thought, great, this flare is gonna last 2 weeks. So 2 weeks went by, and then I was 2 weeks away from seeing my rheumatologist. So I thought, okay, well, it's just a flare in my head. So I'm just gonna wait the 2 weeks until I have my appointment with my rheumatologist and let him know. We all know by the time I'm going to get to the rheumatologist, it's probably going to resolve. It's going to be a thing of the past, because every time we wake up to go to the doctor, we feel fine. So I was thinking, okay, it's going to be fine by the time I get to the rheumatologist. Well, here we are at 4 weeks of a swollen foot that I can barely walk on. That is an RA flare from you know, from down beyond. It's just terrible. And I walk in and it's just my regularly scheduled rheumatology appointment. Because I have an overlap disease and I have scleroderma, I do see my rheumatologist a little more regularly than I know a lot of people are able to get in to see their rheumatologist. So I'm truly blessed that I don't go too long between appointments. So the nurse comes in to take what's going on, and I pull my foot out of my shoe and I'm like, my foot's swollen. And the nurse looks and is like, yeah, your foot is swollen. Yeah, I'm telling him I have an RA flare and it's really bothersome and it's been 4 weeks and it hurts. And so he charts it, and the rheumatologist comes in, asks me how I'm doing. You know, I just started new medication. I've gone back to Rituxan infusions, and I know with Rituxan I get steroids. So 2 weeks before I saw the rheumatologist, I had gotten my first round of Rituxan and steroids. So I explained to the rheumatologist that the steroids kind of helped that day, and the swelling went down, but it came back after that day. And I know we probably just have to wait for the Rituxan to kick in. Now, my inflammation markers in my blood are up, so, you know, I know that medication doesn't work right away when we switch to it. We've got to wait, right? It takes up to 3 months for things to kick in. So I telling the doctor, pull my foot out, you know, he starts examining it. And why is it doctors always have to push right where it hurts and say, does it hurt here? Oh my gosh, yes, it hurts right there. You got it. It hurts right there. So my mom and my husband went with me to the appointment, and I jokingly said to the doctor, you know, I think I'm having an RA flare. My husband thinks I have tendinitis. My mom thinks I have a fracture, and you're the doctor and you get to tell us who's right. So he says, well, I don't think it's an RA flare, and I think you need to go for an x-ray right now of your foot. So, you know, I'm joking because I've never had a fracture in my body. So I would think in my head, if I fractured something, I'm gonna know how I did that, you know? I'm gonna know I fell, I'm gonna know I tripped, I'm gonna know something, but I don't remember doing anything. So I go down for the x-ray, and the email comes through the patient portal that night. Your foot is fractured. And I need to see an ortho foot ankle specialist to see if my foot needs to be immobilized. I have been walking on a fractured foot for 4 weeks at this point. And stupidly, I didn't think that was the issue. I thought I was having an RA flare, because we are so used to living in so much pain that we dismiss immediate danger pain that bodies send to people, because we are so used to it that it becomes normal for us. And I think back and I think if anybody else had been in my shoes, no pun intended, that they would have gone to seek medical care when their foot swelled up. They could hardly put weight on it, and their gait was off, affecting all the other joints in that leg. I didn't. So I think that if you do not have autoimmune disease, if you are a friend or family member, let this be a lesson to you that when your loved one or your friend or whoever it is says that their pain feels like a broken bone, it truly feels like broken bone. And if you are a warrior, let my story be a lesson to you that perhaps we shouldn't just dismiss pain as normal, which pain is not normal and it shouldn't be normalized. And I know better. And I know that you all probably do the same thing I do. You dismiss it as a flare and probably muscle through it longer than you should, right? We're all there, right? We don't want to be complainers. We don't want to be the person that always goes to the doctor and is telling them we feel like we have a broken bone. So many of us do that, go in, say we feel awful, and then our blood work comes back fine. I've been there too, believe me. So we're gun shy, right? We're gun shy to like actually go in and say like, I think I have a problem. I do this probably way too often. I often blame my autoimmune disease for things when it turns out to be something more than just my disease. An acute injury in this case. Now, how did I break my foot? I don't know. I mean, I have a sneaking suspicion of how I do it. Because I have autoimmune disease, my hands and my shoulders and my muscles do not work very well. I do have scleroderma, so my hands, my fingers don't work well. I do have some sclerodactyly, but also I have rheumatoid arthritis, which leaves me with joints that don't work very well. So when I open doors, I open and I use my foot to get the rest of the door open. So perhaps that's what I did. I can't tell you what I did. But I think it's mindful to remember that there are certain things of our condition that make us predisposed to getting fractures. I am on daily prednisone, and we all know, I know the repercussions of that. I know that it makes your bones brittle. I do get, bone density scans and such, and my scan was good, but I think I need to remember in the future that if I have something like this, that I need to go seek help quicker than I did. So I've been walking around on a fractured foot for a month. And have any of you been in this situation? Have you had an acute injury that you've dismissed, or an acute situation that you've dismissed? If you want to know if my foot is immobilized at this moment, I actually am seeing the ortho foot ankle guy this week. So I don't know how the story ends. I'm hoping I don't have to wear a boot. My rheumatologist wasn't sure. It's not his area. I guess I'll keep you updated. If you want an update on this story, I will post it to my Instagram this week. And my Instagram is Elaine's Autoimmune Adventure. I'm on there. I try to be on there frequently. I'm kind of hit and miss, but if you want to keep in contact with me, that's probably a good place to do it. And if you are a family or friend of an autoimmune disease where, again, we're not kidding when we say we're in pain. It's truth. And any person who is healthy probably wouldn't tolerate as much pain as we do. So if you have any comments, leave me comments down below. I love talking to you all. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you've been in this situation, give it a thumbs up so that I know I'm not alone. And if you'd like to come on my adventure, sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's medical, I would love to have you. The more friends, the more better. Please feel free to subscribe. And until my next adventure, which hopefully doesn't involve another fractured bone, go have yours.